give us a little more insight about what's happening here in the vegetable garden, joining me is Brian Jervis, who is the Tulsa County Horticulture Educator. And it looks like y'all have been kind of cleaning up your tomatoes. Tell us what's going on here.
Man, we got them a little far too we didn't get them pruned quick enough.
Yeah.
So
they took off with all this.
they really
nice
did.
weather.
So, you know, I think showing a good demonstration of how to kind of clean up a tomato. So, you know, you like a lot of airflow.
Right.
You know, tomatoes it's our job security there at the extension office. Everybody tries to grow tomatoes, and every problem gets to a tomato. So, you know, we try to do the best things we can do to help us later on. And so what we're going to do here is try to clean this up, open it up a little bit where air will flow, where it'll allow more growth at the top, where we can get a longer harvest of tomatoes throughout the season.
Okay, so what's kind of the first step? You've got yours staked on just a single stake here.
Yeah, so we're just doing a single stake, not putting too much labor in it. I mean, you could put a lot and do some weaving with some ropes and twine, but we're just going to try to keep them up on a single leader. It's kind of what we decided to do here, just to kind of so we could allow us to do other things.
Right.
So,
and that's the thing. I mean, like everybody has their own style that works within their system.
That's correct. And I mean, you could get really intense and, you know, tie them up, prune them every other day and have a good long harvest with a lot more yield.
Right.
But here we've got plenty of area. So we put plenty of plants in where we could kind of be a lazy gardener, if you will.
Perfect.
Yeah, so looking at this plant, you know, you definitely want to get everything off the ground.
Okay.
A lot of disease floating around in that soil, and any soil that splashes on that leaf will spread that disease. So, you know, this limb here is probably a candidate to take out.
Okay.
So we're try to make that single leader or 2 liters where we can start sending them up. So we're going to have to take a lot of this off, unfortunately. But it's going to help us later on, and that
might be hard because you're losing some green tomatoes there.
Oh man, I'm going to hate to cut some of these off, but again, we're doing this for the future. I mean, we could leave them on here and get a good harvest in a couple weeks, or we can kind of prune it and then get a good harvest for 2 months.
Right, you're thinking the longevity.
That's
of the plant.
that's correct.
Absolutely.
That's correct. So this one's going to go. Sticking out into the rows.
So now I know sun scald is a concern on tomatoes. When you're pruning and exposing some of these, what's something to consider?
So yeah, definitely. If you start taking foliage off and seeing the tomato shining, that's going to be where it's going to burn, sunburn. So we got to be careful about that. Or we prune and hopefully we can fill that foliage in a few days. And they're growing fast, so it won't take long. But you know, a couple days of exposure, it'll burn them and cause them not to be marketable.
And again, that might be, you know, a small sacrifice for the short term, right?
For later on. So this one, you know, I'm going to struggle with this one.
And each one of them is different. That's the thing, is there is no right way or wrong way. You just do what you can.
And they would have been better.
Those best practices, right?
You know, after we planted them, maybe in a couple weeks, coming and taking a few limbs off earlier on would have been better, but we didn't get to it. So shoulda, woulda type things.
This branch here has a lot on it.
A lot on it. That's why I'm just kind of worried. So I'm going to take a few off this top, and we're just going to tie it over here. And using pipe cleaners, just simple pipe cleaners. A lot of people use a lot of different things, but pipe cleaners work, and it doesn't take a lot to hold them up, especially as they get trained.
And you're just loosely tying those on there?
Yeah, just kind of loosely. You don't want to girdle them too bad, and you know, nothing too special really.
Okay.
And but this is going to be our leader, and you know, we'll probably leave this one to save those tomatoes and then come back and after we harvest the tomatoes and prune it back off. But you know, I still am not happy with you know, I see too much foliage right down here at the center, you know, the airflow, but these tomatoes are kind of hindering us a little. So I'm going to basically stop pretty quick.
Okay. So now you've got the plastic mulch down, which helps with some of that splashing of the foliage and stuff like that. So that's one of the good things. And this is another thing with the airflow, because we know it might be windy in the spring, but it gets hot and dry during the summertime, right?
It gets pretty warm, and this plastic help hold moisture in real well.
Right. Okay.
And so that gives us a constant moisture instead of you know, wet and then dry.
Okay.
A lot of issues come up with that. So, you know, again, not a good example of pruning, but there were so many tomatoes I just hated to take them all off, and we'll come back later and pick them up.
Okay, excellent. Well, I know you got a lot of other stuff going on out here. You've got several master gardeners out here working. Tell us a little bit about some of the other plants and and chores that are happening.
Yeah, so today's kind of a fun day. We're working through corn, trying to thin it out. Our planter didn't quite get it precise enough, so we're trying to thin it to about 6 to 9 inches.
Okay.
And so they're simply going through and pulling that out. You can cut it with a hoe, but you know the ground's so nice after the weekend rain that it works pretty well just to pop it out, lay it down, and go. So that's one project where we planted melons a little late.
Okay.
So they're going through and got a few weeds in there and try to keep those weeds ahead, try to keep ahead of those weeds because they're 1 week without hoeing weeds and they're too far gone.
Yeah, so keeping the crops that are coming in weed-free is a big thing to help with pest problems. And then you finished up your cool season and you're finishing up a few beans here?
We did. So we'll harvest beans today. We're going to go ahead and finish harvesting our onions and harvesting our potatoes. And we're going to till all of those up and we're going to put pumpkins in and we're going to put sweet potatoes in for the fall.
So no
exciting.
rest for the weary.
No, there's always something to put in, and so we're having a good time out
Well,
here.
this is an exciting project that you guys have going on south of Tulsa here.
Thank you
for sharing it with us.
Absolutely, glad to share.
Thanks. We hope you enjoyed this video as part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on the OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.